Hi, and welcome to the Stock Scores Market Minutes for May 29th, 2017. This week, the topic, the alpha cycle. Then we'll do the weekly market analysis. And finally, trade of the week on Snap. All right, what is the alpha cycle? Well, let us begin with the idea that you beat the market by trading alpha stocks. Now, alpha stocks are those that move faster than the overall market because there is a perception of significant fundamental change in the business. They're breaking away from their normal correlation to the market indexes and instead trading on their own story. Now, what I find is that during the first and second months of the quarter, the alpha stocks that appear are generally those stocks that are announcing earnings because, of course, that's when earnings are announced. By the third month of the quarter, the earnings announcements have really slowed down. There's not too many of them. And it allows what the company is actually doing with their business to shine a little more. And you'll get stocks who are moving on speculation about significant fundamental change or perhaps making news or that sort of thing. So you have to sort of change how you approach the market. It's more of an earnings focus, months 1 and 2 of the quarter, and more of a business focus on the third month. You don't really change how you look for these things. I use the same method, but I'm very aware of the fact that it's earnings driven in that first and second month of the quarter. All right, let's get into this week's analysis. Here is the 30-day 120-minute chart, and you have here some rising bottoms. We have rising bottom longer term as well. And basically, we've got a market that's generally in an upward sloping channel. We're nearing the top of that upward sloping channel, and we're starting to see the momentum slow. We've had a pretty good run. So my thought is we probably stall and maybe pull back soon just because we're at the top of the channel and we've gone up for a number of days in a row. A bullish chart, but maybe an overbought chart as well. Now, in the longer term picture, although it's overbought in the very short term, we did break out here and we do have an upward trend. We've broken out to new highs. So although we may get a pullback short term, I do think that this market is destined to go higher. Until the trend is broken, you have to remain bullish longer term. On the Russell 2000, which is the small cap sector, this is the daily chart. And you can see that we've been stuck in this sideways range for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 months. What is that? 6. And we're just stuck in that range. And you really get a sense that the low-priced small cap stocks are not doing a lot. They haven't captured investor interest. Money is really interested in flowing into the big, large cap stocks, particularly the big cap tech names. Moving on to the Canadian market, we have some falling tops short term. That means there's pessimism building. We are testing support and perhaps moving through support. So I think you need to be cautious with the Canadian market in the short term. And you see here in the longer term chart, we're getting a breakdown there of that trend line after a double top. I think this market is more likely to go lower than higher in the near term. I don't know how sharply it's going to be, but I am a little bit concerned about the Canadian market. You could say that this bull trend has not really been broken yet, but I do think it is a time for some caution. TSX Venture, kind of, a little bit of a rally the last couple of weeks, but still stuck in this little slight downward sloping channel. Not a lot of excitement. This market tends to slow down around this time of year, so I think you got to be very selective on where you trade. Moving on to the Treasury bond market, this is a weekly chart, and you can see that the downward trend line has been broken. We talked about that last week. We've got some rising bottoms here. So it does look like the bond market wants to move higher, which means interest rates move lower, and that is sort of the outlook there. On the US dollar, we are in a downward sloping channel in call it the medium term the last few months. This, of course, is a weekly chart, and we're at the bottom of the channel, so we're due for a bounce, but I think we probably grind our way down into this support zone here. Look for the US dollar to move lower in the weeks and months ahead. On the gold chart, trying to break that downward trend line. We hit it, we got stuck, now we're going to try again. It is a positive sign that we're building rising bottoms here, so if we can continue to consolidate and ultimately break up through that downward trend line, then the outlook will change on gold, but for now I'm sort of neutral to bearish on the gold market. On the oil side, we are stuck in that sideways range that we've been in for a long time. Of course, this is a weekly chart. When we look at it on a daily time interval, we see a lot more volatility, but in the big picture, there's not a lot of volatility in oil, not a lot of excitement there, and I see very few trading opportunities in the energy sector. It'll come alive again, it always does, but for right now, it's a little bit of a parking lot. On the VIX, we had that pop. lasted 1.5 days, and we're right back down to the lows again. We probably move lower. Keep in mind that the VXX, well, all of these ETFs, they decay in value over time. So it's not something you ever want to hold long term. They're fun to day trade once in a while when there's lots of action, but generally speaking, it's not something you want to hold long term. So my ratings then: bullish on US stocks, Canadian, neutral short term, or longer term rather, bearish short term. Gold, neutral on both time frames. Oil, neutral long term, bearish short term. Stocks did make an attempt to break out this past week, but it just wasn't. Oh, sorry, these are last week's comments. I apologize. The basic gist of it is we've had a breakout. We tried last week, we failed. This week we got the breakout. And so now the question is, do we get the follow through from that breakout? Remember, the market's at the top of that channel right now in the short term. So a good chance it pulls back and then tries to make a sustained breakout. So that's what you want to watch for. Canadian market, you got to be cautious there. Gold, it's trying to break that downward trend line, but it hasn't done it yet. And oil, just stuck in a sideways range. It oscillates around, but I don't see a lot of action there. All right, let's look at the trade of the week. Trade of the week was on Snap. I think this was Wednesday or Thursday, May 25th. Lots of price jump in the morning, pretty strong volume in the morning. That's what catches my attention. I have some indicators that look for that. And then a break of the pullback right there. This one had a nice little rally for a little better than 3-to-1 reward for risk by the close. I chose this one because it's a stock that kind of gets a lot of abuse, but it actually had a pretty good day. And, you know, these stocks are liquid. They have some volatility. There's some fun in playing them sometimes. So this is a good example of how that works. All right, well, that has been the Stock Scores Market Minutes for May 29th, 2017. Have a great week in the market and trade well.